And welcome back to Coop's Corner, the only, not only VTuber talk show, but the only one that I'm on. So, hi, I'm Coopsworth, and this is the first episode of Bringing It Back. And today, we have a very special interview. You guys have probably seen them before. The V teacher of all time, the pink-haired shadow lover, Miss Piper!
Hello! This is probably the most orange VTuber talk show. I think that you get that title.
I need like a review, like most orange talk show of all of 2024.
Yeah.
Oh.
Vote now.
Vote now in the comments. So how are you, Piper? How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
I see your legs are a little small there. Definitely not something I had to do to figure out how to make it look more natural.
Yeah, skipped leg day. It's all right. I'll catch up.
So, going back, I used to do interviews all the time, or a good bit of them, and they were a lot of fun. Just trying to find out what makes creators create their stuff, trying to talk about some fun stuff with them. So, I guess the most basic question I could ask is, why did you become a VTuber? What made Miss Piper want to go into the whole online hellhole that is Twitch and Twitter and all the fun stuff we got with it?
Well, that wonderful choice was inspired by my husband. So he's also a VTuber, and he was interested in VTubers first. I was kind of like curious, like, okay, these anime people exist online. It's kind of cool that they don't have to show their face, so that they can just like be in public and like, oh, I've got my little Hannah Montana life. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he thought that I'd be a good fit. I guess as a teacher, you kind of are performing daily.
Yeah.
Like every class is, like you're at the front of what, 20, 30 kids. And
that's a brutal audience too. That could be rough. More rough than anyone puts those at you.
It's a tough crowd. I mean, you tell a joke and it doesn't land, and it's like, I know that was a good joke, you just don't get it. You're the problem, not me.
You guys sit with that joke until lunch period and then try to think of some more.
Yeah, like, you know what? I'll just tell my colleague. They'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, and then he was like, I can help you. Yes, and he was like, I'll help you look for somebody who can make you a model, and just play your games and whatever. And then the run up to play, like, being a VTuber and streaming, I was watching VTuber clips, and so I was like, okay, it's just. It is talking to an audience, it is performing in a sense, but you get to choose the things that you want to do. So if I don't like the curriculum, I can make my own. Yeah.
There's so much to choose from. There's so much to do, really. Every time I look on Twitter, there's a new, like, cool, like, little gimmick someone's doing. It's like, wow, how do you even think of this stuff? It's amazing.
Yes.
The creativity is incredible.
So yeah, it was because of my husband that I got into it, but it's got to take more than that to keep you there, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like if it was just for him and him saying that, oh yes, you'd be good at it, then I don't know if I would have lasted. How long has it been? Like 1.5? No, maybe 1.5 years.
Yeah, just about, right?
Yeah.
So that's crazy how much impact I feel like you've had. 'Cause I see your posts all the time, and they always are so helpful to, like, everyone. I was gonna say, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, of course. Your husband got you into it. So if you had to say, like, for me, I like do VTubing. I need a creative outlet. So this is like my thing where I can do whatever I want and do that stuff. Do you do it for the joy of teaching others? Do you do it because it's creative and you're teaching other people, or just because it's creative?
It's a mix of both, because I enjoy having it as an outlet, because as a teacher you don't have a choice. Like I mentioned earlier, you don't have a choice about what you get to teach. It's kind of like, okay, for English you need to cover such and such, so make sure you do that by the end of the week, otherwise you're going to play catch up. And and there are other things and other issues as well, just about coping in 2024 that are, to me, they seem a bit more pertinent than, I don't know, writing a letter or something. Like, who writes letters anymore? But
I think the last one I did was a Santa Claus, not a few years ago. That's just me.
So it is a creative thing for me, and at the same time, I know what I'm doing because I've been teaching for so long. So I know that when I package something, it's it's going to be an effective enough package that there's going to be impact on somebody. You know, sometimes the things that I make, they're not they don't resonate with everybody, or you know, there's a minority that don't, you know, they're like, oh, I didn't like, they didn't really need that lesson, like they're already quite, I don't know, motivated or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, like at the moment, the posts that I've been doing, there are a lot of VTubers who needed that post, and then they comment and they're like, thank you, I needed this today.
Yeah.
And that keeps me going. I'm like, okay, you know, I want to make more.
They're all really great. I know I've had a few friends, because I've been doing this for almost, I've been a little over a year now. And I've had people ask me how to get into it, and like one of the first people, like, resource, I'm like, go to look at Piper's, because they're all your stuff is so,
Aww.
it's so good and helpful, like for people just starting out who don't have, like, a manager or some other people to help them. It's like such a good little, it's a good like form of like, oh, this is okay, this is how you do this. All right, cool. There's always new stuff, and there's Sonic, so like of course.
Yeah, everybody likes Sonic.
Yeah, but yeah, no. So that stuff's always super helpful, and like it's always good seeing those posts. And I'm actually was curious. So this month, this is coming out a little later, towards the end of the month. But I know you started this month is the quitting, like, or how do you feel? What are you calling it? The
I can look for it right now.
I know
It's quitting VTubing.
Quitting VTubing. Thank you.
Yes.
So that's the month's theme. So I'm that's a really interesting theme. I was going to talk about the last few ones, but that one struck me as like, because it's kind of early in the year. I know February and January are rough for some people because the people go back to school. It's not as busy, or it's not as slow really for other people to watch Twitch and just hang out. So people see the numbers are down. People get to that like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore. Or should I kind of move on? So I kind of want to know what got you to do that idea, because that's a super that's a good topic to bring up. That's a really good one.
Thank you. Well, actually, it's because last year in March, I thought about quitting VTubing.
Okay.
Yeah, and I like if the 1 year ago me were able to talk to the me now, I think they wouldn't have even had that thought.
Yeah.
You know? But so back then, like a year ago, I thought about quitting VTubing in March. So I thought that I would just, you know, address that, because I don't think that enough people talk about it. There are people saying, you know, oh, I feel like quitting, but there's nobody really saying, you know, you shouldn't quit, or maybe think about it, because when, like, VTubing's a hobby, right?
At the end of the day, for
how do you quit? How do you quit a hobby? Like, I'm quitting collecting stamps. I'm quitting guitar. I'm quitting cycling.
Yeah,
like,
it's not something that needs to be maintained. Like, you can just come back whenever you want to. You don't need to quit it whenever.
Exactly. So that's what, and this is coming out at the end of the month, so I suppose we can spoil the surprise now, but what I want people to do is kind of reflect on that, and that there's no need to have that big, you know, like, finality of it all, like, bye-bye forever, I'm gonna miss you, don't forget to write. Yeah, because when VTubers quit, like, that's it. You know, their social media accounts are kind of wiped when it comes to corporate VTubers anyway.
Yeah, of course.
And and it becomes radio silent. Like that's it. It's pretty sad, especially
it's
for
very
people.
sad. Yeah.
Yeah, like for people who, you know, you may not have 100,000 subscribers, but there are a handful of people that are gonna miss you a lot if you just disappear like that.
Yeah, that's something I thought, because I've been at the point too where I didn't know if I wanted to. I always loved doing creative stuff, and I know to myself it would be hard quitting streaming, and especially coming up with me going, I won't be around to stream as much, but like I would still never like shut that door completely, because it's a hobby at the end of the day. It's something that obviously I like to do, and you want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So
And like, why do you have to quit?
Exactly, yeah. So it's like you can just come back later. You don't need to. You're always welcome back in the community.
Yeah, it's not like your model turns into a pumpkin at midnight. You can just come back and use the same model.
Just turn on VTube Studio and everyone's gonna be right back for you. Yeah, that's something I think more people need to think. People see corporate VTubers and they want to be, I want to be top dog, and I want to be able to just do this for a living, but it's like, it's a hobby for the vast majority of us, so it's like you have to learn how to love with the hobby first before you can even get to that point where people just jump in and think, oh well, it's gonna be so easy to just do this. And I think that's where a lot of people were like, oh, I'm quitting now because I didn't make it to whatever number in this amount of time.
And you have to be realistic about it as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like those corporate VTubers, they've got hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on
Yeah.
assets. You know, every year they've got a new costume and all that. Like, but you know, you need to frame it realistically. Like, who are you in the big scheme of things? Who are we? The corporate VTubers were the ones that were lucky enough to be picked up by corporate, but otherwise, indie, you need to be realistic about your, you know, what you're capable of doing as well, because you're also paying your own taxes. You're not selling merch. You don't have a team of people behind you,
Exactly,
like
yeah.
managers. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. I didn't realize I have a few friends now who have managers help them, and I've always been a one-man band for everything. I don't outsource editing or thumbnail, and I do it all myself for the better or for worse. So it's like I just like the joy of creating all that stuff. It's the fun part of it, you know. So it's crazy that people have all these like teams behind them. It's such a bizarre concept to me.
I think it's cool in that they can kind of outsource the nitty-gritty stuff. Like if they need merch done, then this person go and looks for, I don't know, a 2D artist, and then someone else looks for someone who can draw like stickers of them. Somebody look for someone who can draw the ducky makura, you know, like if you're that kind of. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So then
it's definitely helpful.
yeah, they just have to worry about streaming.
That's the easy part for most of it.
Yeah.
Everyone tells me when I tell them a pilot, they're always like, "Wow, flying was the hard part." I'm like, no, flying's the easy part. The paperwork's the hard part. It's very similar for us. It's not too different. So yeah, so those are great posts. So I'm excited to see where you take them through the month. I'm curious though, what are your favorite posts to do? So I know you do like the VTuber dictionary is really good. The Piper Says, the Tell Sensei. Which one's your like personal favorite to like put up and like react to? I have an idea. I'm curious. I want to hear what you say.
They take me the longest to make, but it is the Miss Piper Says.
Okay.
It's definitely the Miss Piper Says. Your reaction tells me that maybe was not what you were thinking.
I was thinking Tell Sensei just because like it's a good like talking to people one, and that's for me that's a big thing. I always like to hear from people and what they have to say. So I know that's what I was just thinking. But Piper said that's the main one. That's about the same thing with all this VTuber recording. It's like this kind of in that category, correct?
Yeah. I think that's where most of my creative outlet is, because a lot of that is from what I research from places like, you know, Psychology Online and Studies and, you know, like Google Scholar and those things. And I enjoy being able to, you know, I've got my creative outlet and I get to do a bit of academic reading. Oh my gosh, because as an English teacher, I'm just reading kids' books.
You got happy because you're very excited there. So I get it now. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I get two things done at once, and then the third one is, of course, I'm helping people, and it's really validating when they comment and they say, you know, I needed this today, or this really helped me. I wish more people would talk about this, and I'm surprised that people aren't. Because there are big VTubers who could talk about this kind of stuff, but maybe they're bound by things like corporate, maybe they're not so eloquent, maybe they don't have the time and space to do that. So I'm very happy to dedicate my time to making those.
You have a great presence for it too. Like, so I know, like you say, some people can't talk like me. I'm not a great speaker all the time. I can get through some words, but I could never package stuff to that degree of like, oh wow, this all makes sense, or that's a really good way of putting it. So you have a very good way of doing that. So I'm happy we have you doing it and not someone who like me who can't talk.
It's like I've actually got papers to prove that I can do this.
Yeah. The job says, like, the title's right there, guys.
Yeah.
So I have to ask now, Shadow the Hedgehog's your favorite character, correct, from the Sonic games? This, you knew it was coming. This is kind of how I found you with the Piper Says quote things, but I also, because you were a Sonic fan, I'm a huge Sonic fan, so I obviously love that stuff. And your Sonic Club is probably like one of the most fun. I'm not a big Twitch watcher, because I'm just so busy, but I always try to make it to the Sonic Clubs, even if I'm lurking in there, because they're always just so much fun to see. I know the Sonic, the Sonic Unleashed one was really good. I think it was the PS2 version you were playing, so like the super slow one. Yeah. And I know
it's so different.
Yeah, it's crazy how much like that and the Wii, they cut out so much. It's ridiculous. Oh god, those games. I love the Xbox one though. Curious though.
Yeah, that one's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite Sonic game now? out of all of them, there's a lot. There's a bunch to choose, so you can pick a few. But I'm
Sonic
curious.
CD. Sonic CD.
Really? Okay.
I know it's a, yeah, I know
That's
it's a
good
weird
one.
choice, but
It's
a
good,
weird
solid.
choice. It is a. I think it is a good one. I have prepared like certain Sonic answers
Yeah.
in case I get asked about. Yeah, but
I love that.
hands down, for some reason, it's Sonic CD. But I think it's just that, like most Sonic games, the music is fire. But
so good. The intro too. I love
Yes.
the intro for that game. I have the GameCube, the Sonic Mega Collection, and Sonic C's not on it, but the intro is.
Yes.
So I'll boot that game up
just
just to
put it on
listen.
loop.
Yeah,
just put it on loop.
Yup, it's so good. Oh god, it's so perfect. It's such a perfect intro to a game, and cool for the first like Sonic CD game too. Back in the day, thinking back like on that time, like it's crazy. That
It's
was
a pity
yeah.
that it came out for the CD. Like that's the
Yeah.
only game anyone knows for the CD.
Yeah, was it Sega Saturn? I think, right? So editor can correct me if it's not, but I'm pretty sure, like that's the only Sonic game that made it was like oh no, it was the Sega Genesis CD, whatever the hell that's called. I can't think of what it is. But yeah,
Yeah, I think it was a whole system.
Ye-
I can have a look now,
might have
actually.
been. Okay, thank you.
It's called the Sega CD.
The Sega CD, it was okay. It was attached for the Genesis. I'm the old
Yeah.
game guy. I need to know that. Okay, yeah, it was the best game for that thing, hands down. And it's like, why was it relegated to this? It's so sad.
It's such a waste. You've got good music. You've got the past and the future levels. So you've essentially
Yeah.
got what 8 zones times 4 or something like that.
It's probably the biggest game up to that point, like, and probably for a like past that too for a little while till Sonic Adventure. It's huge.
Oh yeah.
So
So that's my favorite.
What's your favorite 3D one now? Then, if that's the like, I'll try to break them up a little bit because
Okay.
that's harder, I think, for some people.
Yeah, because some people just stop at, oh, Sonic CD. I've never heard that one. All right,
Yeah.
moving on. Like, okay, of course she likes the obscure one.
I love the obscure one. I'm happy with that. I love Sonic CD. That intro just it makes the game could suck. The intro's awesome. I can't not love it.
That's actually a good question of the 3D Sonic games because that includes From Adventure, but like From Adventure to Forces, bleh. That's a lot.
Great answer for it. That's the subtitle for that game.
Sonic forces you to play a bad game.
Oh.
That's a lot of progress that's been made in that amount of time. Like what,
yeah.
1999 to when was Forces 2017 or
2017,
something?
yeah, 2017.
Yeah, I can't think. There's nothing that jumps out at me particularly. But I suppose the PS3 version of Sonic Unleashed plays pretty well, so I understand if
That's fair.
younger Sonic fans are like, Sonic Unleashed is my favorite Sonic game, and I'm like thinking, why?
That's I'm much more of a 2D person overall. I'll love this. I would play a Sonic Advance game over like pretty much any of the Sonic 3D
Yeah.
games. The Shadow game is pretty cool. I just love how stupid it is, but that one's fun.
It's oh god,
it's a
the
trip.
elastic limbs.
Yeah,
Yes.
the elastic limbs, the intro, the music's great. Oh my, Crush 40
Yeah.
killed that song. But
Like in hindsight, you know, I remember enjoying things like Sonic Heroes.
yeah,
Shadow the Hedgehog at parts, like it's got a really good opening, and I think that sells it for me, but
Yeah.
a few other people as well. So Sonic Unleashed is really pretty, and the levels are kind of fun to play through. Like the PS3 and Xbox 360 version. Don't cancel me. The
Yeah.
PS2 Wii one is garbage. But
it's fun. I have a friend who actually prefers the Wii one 'cause it's slower. I don't know how that's in a Sonic game. It's
also broken.
It's also not good. It's also not very good.
Yeah. Like thinking about it a bit more, I'm like, am I proud of that answer to say that my favorite 3D one is Sonic Unleashed? I'm trying to think of what else there's been.
So,
but I
for
also
me-
liked Adventure.
Yeah, Adventure. So Adventure 2 is probably the base answer for people. That's not really.
Yeah.
It's not, it peaks in the opening level for me. Like I see, of course, City Escape's
Oh
gonna be the
yeah,
best.
City Escape.
Yeah. So obviously that's gonna be the best part of that game. Colors
Yes.
was okay. I remember. It's hard because I'm just not a big 3D person. Like I remember
same here.
The Ring games and the Night game were kind of cool that they happened, I guess. But like there wasn't any like. Unleashed is the most Sonic we got that wasn't broken, but half the game is not even a Sonic game. So it's like, do we? You have to count that. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I haven't. I've got to say though, I haven't actually played the Wii version of Sonic Colors. So I played it for was it the DS, 3DS?
There was a DS version, I think, too. I think there was a
Yeah,
regular DS
which was
version.
all right. It was all right. So I can't even include that one. I haven't actually played Lost World.
Lost World, it's all right. It's nothing special.
Yeah, like the Deadly Six completely turned me off. I was like, who the heck are these people?
Who are these guys?
Who are
I
these
need
guys?
Robotnik. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Mania for me, and probably either Generations. Oh, are you excited for Sonic Shadow Generations? The new one?
Of course I am.
Yeah. I'm sure you are. Cannot wait. I'm hoping that game. Generations is probably the one I was thinking of. And Generations was the next best 3D one for me. Or part 3D.
Actually, yeah. Oh gosh, I forgot about Generations.
You see, it always slips through the cracks.
It's really fast though. I finished it in 5 hours.
The speedrun time.
It's a bit too fast. I remember it taking me like, yeah, I think 5 to 6 hours, not including toilet breaks and, you know, getting a bite to eat. Yeah, it's a really fast game to finish.
It's good though. I mean, it's at least with Unleashed, it's a lot longer, but you're getting all Sonic with the Generations. You're not getting the Werehog stuff, which I wasn't the biggest fan of. I
was in someone's stream recently, and they were playing the PS3 version, and they were kind of stuck because it was they couldn't go to the next level because they hadn't collected enough medals. And to get the medals, you need to replay the levels that you've already played. But if you were playing this game for the first time, you wouldn't have thought to go and collect the medals when you were first playing the levels. And so this friend was just stuck there. Like, oh, I don't want to have to replay the levels. I just want to play the game.
I can't. Oh god, that sucks. That's brutal. Like, let me in. Let me in.
Yeah, let me in. Let me in.
Oh god, it's funny. Okay, well, not too much left, I guess, to ask, but I have two more things that are pretty cool or pretty interesting. I want to know. So,
all right,
two pretty simple things. What is your favorite game you streamed on Twitch so far? I know recently you played. You played Castlevania, which is awesome. Love that's sick.
Yes,
those games are amazing. Vampires are awesome. Sonic, of course. Was it Dating Death? I saw the other day?
Yes,
or a while ago.
Dating Death.
So, what's your favorite thing you streamed on there?
Ooh, because I've streamed quite a few things, but I did enjoy Castlevania Symphony of the Night because it was something that the community chose for me, actually. Okay. They know that I like platformers, and they were like, what? You've never played a Castlevania game, but it's a platformer. You like platformers. Yeah, you're going to like this one. You're going to like Alucard. And they were right about both things.
I can't believe that was your first Castlevania game. Was Symphony of the Night?
It was my first, and then I was devastated to find out that was the only time you played as Alucard ever.
Yep, yeah. Well,
in the series.
That, and it's probably the best one too. The Game Boy Advance ones are pretty good, but that one's definitely the highlight ever. That one's really good.
Yeah, people seem to universally be like, oh yeah, this is my favorite Castlevania game. Like people coming in, dropping me a follow and saying, oh, this is my favorite Castlevania game. Like everybody who came in said that.
It's a pretty universal. Most games don't have like a universal winner, but that one, and it's not Dawn of Sorrow. The last Game Boy one that's skipping my mind is like that one's really good because they like the guy's coat in it. Everyone's like, "Oh, that's sick." And that's it. It's like he's a really nice white coat.
Aesthetic.
Yeah, the aesthetic wins it.
Aesthetic. Yeah.
For anything, it's VTubers especially. Good aesthetic, you guys win. You hear that first from here.
Oh yeah. Like actually though, top tip.
Oh,
have good branding. I think that's going to be one of my next. Maybe not next month, but like one of the topics
coming up. Yeah, that's a huge deal. Like making sure people like can recognize you when they see you on other platforms. I think is huge.
Yeah,
like using the same profile pictures over like a few things. Like all my Twitch and YouTube are the same. Twitter's the only that changes to make sure it's like recognizable.
Yeah, like a lot of people don't realize that the VTubing scene is really saturated. Like if you are just pull 2 adjectives out of a hat plus 1 noun, and there's a VTuber there. There's somebody.
Yeah.
Who's that?
What's the weirdest one you've seen? I'm just thinking of this question now. What's the most unique VTuber you've seen, like concept wise, I guess?
Oh, okay. There was one. I think she's graduated, but she was an astronaut. But she was like, she had like the headscarf. So I think she may have been Muslim IRL.
Okay.
And she was like an astronaut, and she had like a headscarf on, I think above the astronaut
Oh,
helmet bit.
that's
I thought
cool.
that was so cute, and
Yeah.
her color theme was pinky and blue,
Oh.
and it was so like I still remember. I can't remember their name, but I remember what they look like. And if I
Yeah.
ever see them again, I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, that's yeah.
Please
But,
send, that'd be awesome.
It's like the ones that stand out to me. You can't just be an anime girl on the internet anymore to stand out. And the other people
Damn
that
it.
I'm thinking of, who I'm sorry, Coops.
It's over, guys.
So like yeah, and people who are like they stream as animals. So there's another one who's
Yeah.
like oh gosh, she's like a sphinx. Like a cat with big ears.
Yeah,
But she's like her voice is really squeaky as well. I can't remember her name. Yeah.
We'll have to find
But
them. I think the most unique one I've seen is a stove. I think it's a stove
Really?
PNG they use. Yeah, I love as a traffic cone. I gotta find any other inanimate objects. The find.
I've seen a milk carton.
Milk carton. That's good. I've seen that actually. I've seen that one. The stove I've seen. They seem really cool. There's so much you can like be, but then again, it's kind of like that because you can't just be like a normal person doing it, or like an anime girl on the internet. You can't just do that anymore because there's so many VTubers. Like every week there's another debut, or multiple debuts, and it's great because there's more people making content. But it's like there's so many.
Like if you want to VTube, you can be whatever you want. But if you want to stand out, if you want to, you want to increase your chances of making this maybe a full-time thing or getting people to come to your channel, you have to be different. You need to have that
something to pull
factor. Something that's different from everyone else. Like you're not just I don't know, playing I'm a variety streamer. It's not enough anymore.
Yeah, you can. It's very much. I've always been on the side of if you put yourself in a good situation, like you have your good branding, you're a variety streamer, you make good, you're funny, your videos, stuff. If you do all that, like luck will find you. It's just a matter of time when that will happen. You just gotta be ready for
manifest.
it.
Yeah. It just need to increase your chances of that luck striking. So some people, like, oh, I'm so unlucky, and blah, blah. Well, I mean, you can't control luck, but you can kind of play things to your favor.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's plenty of ways to put stuff in to make it easier for luck to find you. So you just gotta find that out eventually. Like, I think it's just learning, really. That's what I mean. I just the first 6 months I did VTubing, or 5 months I did it. It was very, very slow, and then I was like, I just learned shit, and I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense.
It is slow. Like the first, actually, I think that. So I've been making Miss Piper Says since my return back to, like I took a hiatus last year. Okay. Like March last year. And that's why, that's why the theme this year is quitting VTubing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And the first Miss Piper Says post that I did was the day that I came back. And so that was March, I think 31st. And the first post that I made that really popped off, and that I was like, oh, hey, you know what? I need to keep doing these. That was in September.
Wow. So yeah, it takes a while, man.
6 months, like actually 6 months.
Yeah. It's people. I think there's a lot of around the debut where people expect. I know. So people come in and they do all the right stuff on Twitter, because you can obviously see what works a lot now. And you get a good debut, but then it kind of trickles off, and that's what leads, I think, to the people trying to quit now, is because people aren't so used to like kind of starting by themselves and just kind of working up to it, if that makes sense. Like I did, I did streams from February to July last year, and it was like best was like 5 or 6 people maybe coming in, and now after that I learned how to connect with people, how to make more friends in the VTubing scene, just kind of like embracing it, and now I can do a lot better on it. So it's like it's just learning that curve and kind of knowing that, oh well, you're always getting better. Like you're always going to get better by doing this.
Like if you last that 6 months, you are more likely to continue to do this.
Exactly.
Because I think that 6 month period is the most difficult.
It's a lot of you
'cause
fighting yourself probably in that time.
you streaming to nobody.
Yeah, just I mean that's good. It's good to learn how to talk to no one because that's a very like important skill to have just to keep going when even no one's in there, just to entertain yourself or just like
Yeah.
get out of the mental like, oh well no one's here, like nah man, just talk, like just have fun.
Yeah. Like you can't rely on chat to come up with content. You need to come up with
Exactly.
stuff yourself. You can bounce off what chat's saying, but at the end of the day, if you don't have any content, like if you don't have anything to give, then why should people watch
Why are people
you?
gonna watch you? Yeah,
know?
exactly.
Yeah, like they could watch somebody else who could. There's always going to be someone better than you.
Yeah,
So,
it's always working. It's always
yeah.
working uphill. It's just taking a step and step just to get better. So, if it's just
Mm.
like figuring that out, I'm like, okay, cool, let's go, and then bam, you're going. So, that's
Yeah,
that's
like-
important to learn.
It's learning. That first 6 months is learning how to ride a bike.
Yeah,
And like, yeah, like learning how to swap from screens, or maybe like technical stuff. And then you've
Yeah.
also got the your own skills, like being able to ad lib or being able to even like draw boundaries as well on stream. If somebody's being a bit inappropriate, okay, I'm gonna time you out. You need a moment.
yeah, that's a tough thing
Come
to
back
learn
when
too.
you've got a
Yeah,
when you've got a cool head and you can come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of learning because I mean, especially if you've never done it before, it's like, oh, I want to be a VTuber. There's tons of stuff to get you set up, but like learning OBS or learning how to edit or learning how to make thumbnails, like it's not very. It's a lot of stuff to just go into and try to figure out.
Oh yeah.
Of
Mm.
course, now we have people like you who make it easier than ever to learn that stuff. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm still learning. Like, I'm still not very good with technology. I've still got tech support coming in.
Yeah, let's try to set this up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just constant learning. And then, so very last thing, what's your favorite thing about VTubing? Kind of talked about it a little bit earlier with like the stuff you do on your best player, but like your favorite overall, just like this is kind of why you do it, or this is just your favorite little niche thing that happens. It could be just something you found out or learned that you just like a lot. It doesn't really matter.
My favorite thing about VTubing, it's I don't know why. Sonic Club comes to mind. So
It's really fun. It's a great community. It's a great little group of people you have every time that you turn on a Sonic game. Like that's awesome.
And I enjoy having that space where people who are not children come in there to Sonic Club. But so it's an adults, a group where adults can talk about Sonic. But just because, when you say adult, it makes it sound like, oh, R18. Like it's not though. It's
It's just grown up
it's just a
Sonic
bunch of
fans,
adults. Yeah, we just like to talking about Sonic, and we pay our taxes. So
Well, hopefully we all pay our taxes.
yes,
Majority
pay your
of them.
yeah. Other than that, because I was thinking when you say VTubing, I feel like I should be thinking about the streaming part because that's where this model comes in. But what I enjoy is making those Miss Piper says, because there wasn't really anybody giving advice and stuff, or like
No.
you'd have to go to an external place
Yeah,
to go
it
and
wa-
look for how to VTube and what to do this, for this and that. So I do enjoy that, and when people comment and they say, this really helped me. I wish that more people would address such and such. I think it's important to be transparent about the issues that arise because of VTubing. It's not just like, I'm an anime girl on the internet, everything's perfect.
Yeah, it's a lot more than that now.
Yeah, it's also like streaming to nobody for hours on end. It's not knowing what to come up with content-wise. It's being being lost and kind of helping to guide people, not telling them what they should do, but giving them that kind of clarity to realize, oh, as a VTuber, I would like to do such and such content that I do like. Yeah.
It's a ton more, and I think the fact that you said like no one else was really given advice, or it was like a manager who kind of go either pay for or a YouTube video that maybe wasn't like someone who was already so huge that it didn't really even matter to you because you couldn't like relate to them.
Yes, there are people what I hate to hear is, oh, the numbers don't matter. Don't look at the numbers. Like, go away.
I
yes, the
remember your
numbers
post about that. Yeah, I think you had a really good one where I'm a big stats guy. I love numbers, even if they're not like just like not to like obsess over them, but just to like to see like trends, and that's really interesting.
Oh yeah.
So I think
it's at a glance you can see.
Yeah. the one you had where it was like if you average I think it was like over if you average like 10 people, you're already in like the top 2% of Twitch or something like that. Like
yes, the
people
sexy
don't think
Twitch
about
stat.
that. This sexy Twitch stats, yes. I gotta find that, put it on my little green screen board. But that was that one was really good because that put into perspective so many like how many streamers there are and how like even just getting something, because in the eyes of many, just having 10 people, like people who just don't see the work you put in behind streaming, 10's like, oh well, you have 10 people streaming, that's not like crazy much. That's a lot. That's a really good, yeah, like it's not small at all. It's a big achievement.
Yeah, the problem is that people look at numbers in isolation. So in education, you know, you need to unfortunately the big bosses, they look at the numbers. They do look at the numbers in but you can't just look at numbers in like a vacuum. You need to look at them in perspective. So yeah, 10 viewers is a lot. And people need to know that it's a lot. And there were people commenting like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that made me like, oh, you know, I'm actually doing much better than I thought.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of people I remember who commented and like, oh, this actually makes me sad because it means that there are so many other little guys who are getting no people watching them, or like, you know, they're not affiliate. But you know, I guess it depends on what people would like to focus on. You know, some people, they just want to stream. It's okay that nobody's watching.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, there's tons of people out there who they're doing just for the fun of it. Like, there's no Twitter account with them. There's no nothing behind it besides that. So I mean, that's like, you have to realize there's so many different ways to stream, and people who do it. Like, they're not all just VTubers who are just like, oh, I'll make the best Twitter account and then YouTube and upload funny whatever and do all that stuff. There's people just like, when I started streaming, I started back in 2020, and I was just bored. Yeah, I've been I've been here March.
Your senpai, actually.
Yeah.
Right?
I've been doing, I was doing face cam back then when the pandemic started, so I was just streaming to stream with my friends. And like, then we got affiliate in a month. We're like, holy shit, like, yo, we can do this. It's crazy.
Make money.
Yeah, it was just fun because I've always loved content creation, so it actually kind of worked. And now it's like you put a lot of effort in, and I would have never imagined being like kind of even doing like a little talk show with you. Like, I would never imagine this 2 years ago. Yeah. So it's just what you put in, you're going to get out. It just depends. It just might take a while to see what you get out. Like the 6-month thing we're talking about. Like, it might take a little bit to see that.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point as well in not everybody streams the same way. So yeah, like in your case, you just wanted a way to play with your friends, but you were all stuck at home.
Exactly.
And you know, maybe a lot of those accounts could be left over from that time. You know, yeah. So you don't have to feel too bad for them because maybe that's not their goal. Maybe their goal is not to have 10 average viewers or be a Twitch partner or whatever. But if your goal is that, then knowing that you are in the top 1% for having over 26 viewers is, or whatever that was, is you know, positive for you. Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a morale booster, especially. I mean, I think back when I would check it like on Twitch Tracker, I believe it was. Like, even if you had like 8 or 7 viewers, you're still like, I mean, just to be like, wow, out of every Twitch count, you're like top 3%. That's still like that's gonna be a huge morale boost. That's still really good. That was
fun. Yeah. So you are in the top. It's even better than that. You're in the top 3.4% of channels if you average over 6 viewers. That's
a huge. And think of how many Twitch channels there are. That's ridiculous. Like how many people that is. So I think people just gotta take a little, I guess not take for granted the people they have, just in their chat all the time, because it's huge. Even have like, for me, if you just have one person before I start stream, that's awesome. Like, that's always the best. Like, it's such a cool.
Yeah, like they're waiting for you to begin.
Yeah. It's like you're behind the curtains at a show, like waiting to peek your head around, seeing people sit in already. So this is a really great. It's a good feeling, and I hope that, especially that one's particulars, I'll put it on my little green screen. Like, that is such a good, like, you guys are doing good. Don't worry, you'll get there.
Yeah. Like, that's what people need to hear. You're doing fine. If you're worried about the numbers, these are the numbers. It may seem small. You know, you count the numbers on your 2 hands, but in the big scheme of things, it's an achievement. It's something to be proud of.
Yeah, exactly. that's kind of everything I had on my mind. Is there anything? This one will come out probably towards the first week of April, early in that week. Is there anything you had planned for that you want to promo now, or anything you have going on by that time?
I have actually thought about it. So April is Autism Awareness Month, I think, or something like that. So I wanted to do something to kind of address that community, because there is a surprising amount of people who are, I think they refer to themselves as autistic. So which was interesting to me, because when I was doing like a certificate to teach people with special needs.
Yeah.
And they were telling me, oh, you need to call them people with autism.
Yeah.
Don't call them autistic people. And I was like, oh, okay, because I don't want to offend them.
Yeah,
and then I come into VTubing, and there are autistic people telling me, no, we don't like being called that. It sounds like, it's like baggage.
Yeah, it's a lot more, right?
Yeah, so I was like, okay, I did not know that, because I did a professional course and they told me use this term, don't use this one. But then, autistic people are telling me use this one, don't use the other one, we don't like the other one.
And that's what matters a lot more, is people who actually have that. So
yeah, like I care about making those people happy, Yeah. So so that's something that I need to do a little bit more research. But I do want to kind of. I was thinking about stuff like maybe helping people understand autistic people better, and maybe like accommodate better, because it seems like it's up to autistic people to go and accommodate to and learn about the neurotypicals, which is I think it's more about meeting people halfway.
So just making not making amends. Just meet people halfway. Just like, oh, well, we can do this, we can do that. Let's kind of work together with it. It's always two parties. It's like you just make everyone feel welcome in it.
Yeah. So that's hopefully what I want to focus a bit more on in April.
I'll be excited to see it. But thank you so much for hopping on, man. This is great. I had a great time talking to you about this. This is awesome.
Oh, thank you. I had a good time too.
Awesome. All Piper's stuff will be below. And then that's a wrap. I hope to see you guys next time, and go follow Piper. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.